Okay, this video is going to serve as a mini review session for your week one quiz. I'm going to give you access to a PDF version of this document that I'm working off of. This one has all the answers in it. And then I'm also going to give you a PDF version of just the questions in a typed out form, so they won't be handwritten like they are here. So let's just get started. As a reminder, let's see, what is on this? The topics you'll see here will be the things that we covered in week one and some of the things that you saw over the summer for your summer homework. So that includes power rule, derivatives of sine, cosine, ln, e to the x, tangent lines, product rule, some visual derivative stuff that was in your summer stuff, and then a little bit of not too crazy quotient rule problems. So let's start with this one. 1a, find the equation of the tangent line to blank at blank. So I want you to find the equation of the tangent line to that thing at x equals -3. So here's your spot. This is just like our board work. You're going to pause. You're going to try it, and then I'll put up a solution, and you can check your answer, and I'll walk through it if you want me to. So go ahead, hit pause. Okay, here comes the answer. I got y plus 18 is 9 times x plus 3. So how did I do that? Well, when I see a tangent line right there, I always think point slope. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. From there, I identify that x1 is -3, so it's highlighted there. So that's this guy. To get y1, I take y of -3. There's a little typo there, I fixed it. So y of -3. Well, that's, I plug in -3 here and here. So I get 3 times -3, that's this guy, minus, where's the 9 come from? That's 3 squared. So that gives me -9 minus 9, which takes me down to -18. Here, my m is y prime. Or sorry, for m, I'm going to find y prime and then plug in that -3. So y prime, I do power rule. This guy derives to 3. This guy, the 2 comes out front, reduce it by 1, so we get 2x. So I get y prime of -3 is plug -3 in. I get 3 minus 2 times -3, which gives me 3. This guy is 6. Add them, I get 9. So my solution is y plus 18, double negative on the 18, or on that guy right there, gives me the plus, equals 9. That's m. Just plugging them into here. Times x plus 3. So hopefully you're good with that one. We'll go on to the next one. Oops. Let me go like this so I can put it in a spot where you can see it. All right, so there we go. Next one, I want you to find the derivative, or sorry, the tangent line to y equals cosine x at x equals 2 pi over 3. Let's go ahead, hit pause, same thing. All right, here it comes. This one I had to do some tricks, so we'll see how far down we need to go. Right there's good. Okay, so cosine x at 2 pi over 3. x1 is 2 pi over 3. I've got my point slope. I then went and I knew I was going to have to do some trig work at 2 pi over 3. So I drew the unit circle, 2 pi over 3. That's before the 45-degree angle. It's the first spot we stop at as we're in this quadrant as we're going around. There should be a 2 here. I guess I can still write in this form. I didn't know that. All right, so go 2 pi over 3 like this. My x-coordinate is 1/2. That's the value of cosine at this value. And my y-coordinate is √3 over 2. That's the value of sine. So I'm going to use those guys over here. y1, cosine of 2 pi over 3. That is a -1/2 from here. So that's going to be this guy, which is where I get the y plus 1/2. Then for m, need to find y prime. The derivative of this guy up here, where is it, cosine, is a negative sign. So y prime of that is negative root 3 over 2. You may say where this negative comes from. Well, this is that negative, and the sign value is that. So I get negative root 3 over 2 is my m, and then x minus 2 pi over 3, that comes from the x1. So let's go to the next one. The directions are long here. Calculate its derivative, show any intermediate steps where you change the form of an equation, write answers in positive exponents instead of negatives, and roots instead of fractional powers. Messy quotient rule problems can be left unsimplified. Other answers should be simplified. We'll bring this guy back up again. All right, we'll stop right there. All right, so 2a, y equals 3 over x to the 10th plus root x. Go ahead, pause, find its derivative. Okay, so to find this thing's derivative, I'm gonna show you the answer right now. I use some power rule. My first line right here is what I was just describing to you, where I said write the answers with positive exponents. Or sorry, show the intermediate steps. So this 3 over x to the 10th gets rewritten as 3 times x to the negative 10 plus the root x goes to x to the half. Do some power rule. Remember, we go down from negative 10, which takes us to negative 11. You multiply out front by that exponent up there, gives me negative 30, plus a half. That comes from multiplying here. And then this guy comes from going down 1 unit from a positive half, gives me the negative half. Now I don't want to leave my answer like this. You need to simplify it, write it with roots and exponents. So when I do that, I get negative 30 over x to the 11th plus 1 over 2 root x. Next question. Y equals x to the 8th times e to the x. So go ahead, pause, do this one. Should be pretty quick. Here comes the answer. I would honestly take either one of these. They would totally be fine. If you left it like this, I give you full credit. If you factored it, I give you full credit. Later on, we'll find out when it's good to have one versus the other. But for now, you can do either. So this is a product rule. There's some multiplication happening right there. So I get 8x to the 7th, derivative of the first, times e to the x, derivative of the second, plus x to the 8th. Well, I sort of did it a little bit backwards from the way that you might do it. So I got derivative first times second plus derivative second times the first. This is actually the derivative of e to the x. So you might have had your e to the x in front of the x to the 8th, and that would be fine. But derivative of the second piece is here, and the derivative of this guy is right, or sorry, and this function is right there. If you wanted to factor things out, you could. You can even actually factor some of those pieces of the polynomial out, and that would still be correct. All right, so let's go on to letter C. Y equals ln of x times sine x. Go ahead, pause, find the derivative of that. Here comes. Derivative of ln is 1 over x times the sine x, and then I write the ln of x, and then I multiply by the derivative of the sine, which gives me cosine. So that's really it for the work. You don't have to simplify anything there. I don't know if you can really factor anything out at all. I think you're just going to leave it just like that. Let's go to part D. Ooh, quotient rule. So you're going to do low, start and end with the low. So low d high minus high d low over low low. Go ahead, pause. Okay, here it comes. So I actually wrote this, the low d high, remember high prime, minus high d low over low low right here, so that we would all see everything. So this is the low. Notice I start with that, so I write e to the x plus 10, and then times the derivative of the top. Well, derivative of x is 1, minus x, that's the top, high, times the derivative of the bottom. Well, when I derive that, the e to the x goes to an e to the x, and the 10 goes away because its derivative is 0. So I get this guy, and then I get this squared. So as I'm saying here, this is totally fine like this. You don't have to simplify that at all. Let's go to part E. Here, I got x to the 5th times ln of x. So go ahead, hit pause, give it a shot. All right, here it comes. Oops. So, oh, did I not simplify this? All right, here we go. I've simplified it now. You do want to have it in a simplified form. 5x to the 4th is the derivative of the first times the ln, stays the same, plus x to the 5th is the first times ln, derives to 1 over x. How's that simplify? Well, this x divides into those and cancels with one of them and leaves me with an x to the 4th. Next one. Ooh, another quotient rule. So actually, later on, I will teach you an alternative way to do this, but you don't know enough rules yet for it, but we'll be there very soon. So go ahead, do this with some quotient rule. Hit pause. This is one where you want to simplify, but hit pause. Okay, here it comes. One thing I will point out that I didn't really show here is, well, we'll get there when we get there. It has to do with this 6 right here. Some people write a 5. All right, so low is x cubed, d high is negative sine x, minus high cosine times d low, 3x squared. So I probably wouldn't take off points if you just left it like this. It's fine. But I don't like all these negatives in the parentheses and this guy after the cosine. So I put the negative out front and I moved the 3x squared out front. So I wasn't confused about what was inside the cosine and not. Now let's talk about this x to the 6, the low. That is from x cubed squared. Some people want to make that a 5th, but if you really think about this, this is x cubed times x cubed. So how many x's are being multiplied by there? You have 6 of them. So the rule there is actually to multiply. So we got x to the 6. So there's that answer. All right, so now this one, where's my time? Okay, I'm gonna pause here and I will do the next part of these guys in the next video because I have a 15-minute time limit. So I'll see you in that one.